Welcome back to Rockstar 101. His name is Brandon. He's the DJ.
His name is Shim. He is the rock star. Class is in session. And as we kick things off, we got another question from Reddit. And this was kind of piggybacked on the question that we answered in a previous episode about you covering Linkin Park, where somebody had chimed in. It's the username is Reboot Error. And it says, sorry to bother you, but could you find out what song this is? And then he sent me a link to a YouTube video.
Yes.
And it says, I haven't been able to find any information. Is it a cover or what? First of all, you're not bugging us at all by asking this question.
No.
And I'm sure Shim would be glad to answer it. And I have it right here. So I could even play, we'll put a link to this in the podcast, hopefully, so that people can go directly to
He says
the YouTube
hopefully
channel.
because it will be up to me to put it in there, and I will most likely forget. Hopefully we'll put it in there.
When it comes to the podcast, that's up to me. When it comes to you putting it on YouTube. That's on you.
That's on Darlene.
But all it says here is Big Day Out, Sydney 07,
right.
The Sick Puppies.
Yeah.
Is what the title of the video is. And obviously the audio of it is not the best.
No, it's not the best, but it might. You know what the truth is? Hold on. See if we can play it. Nah, you can't make it out. So here's the deal with that song. That's a song called Pretend. We had a song on the bonus features of Tripolar called Pretender. No relation. The reason that song, I may actually wind up re-recording that song when I do the Puppies catalog as well, because it's a good song. I forgot about that song. It's pretty cool to be in a position where you've written so many songs that you forget songs.
Yeah.
But that one, it's got some cool changes. It was back when I was doing a lot of semitone changes, which is just kind of really just bent and weird and Tim Burton-y, soundtracky, but not from like a classical perspective. It's just like, hey, this sounds weird. So that song was the opening track that we used to play at the beginning of our sets when the band first started touring, and that show was the Big Day Out, right? So the Big Day Out festival was the festival that I grew up watching year after year. And you'd go and you'd watch the main stage, and we saw Metallica and Foo Fighters and Fear Factory and every band, Tool and Muse and every band that you've ever, all those bands. So then we're on that stage. And the funny thing is that gig is actually the example that I've used in a video that's very popular on my Facebook page for putting on the Rockstar hat, because I was having a real problem with nerves on the Brisbane Big Day Out. And then 2 days later was the Sydney Big Day Out. And I got a piece of advice, which was just go out there and just act like a rock star. I know that you're like you, but when you're out there, don't be you. Be like every
the rock star.
Be the rock star. Just play the rock star. And that was the first show where I did it, where I just was like balls to the wall, headbanging, thrashing around. And I'm surprised. I remember singing horribly that day, but that video, I think the first verse is a bit out of key, but then by the first chorus, I'm back in the swing of it. And and the band was tight, man. We rehearsed for a year and a half before we started touring that touring cycle. So the same songs for a year and a half, the same fucking set. We would rehearse it 3 or 4 times a day, every day, for a year and a half. So we were tight.
So it was a well-oiled machine.
It was a well-oiled machine. And you can hear it in those changes. Like there's little pickup things. On the palm muting on the fucking guitar. And I'm like, damn, that is tight. Like I could not do that right now. I could not play that tight right now because I don't practice every day at the moment. I record music every day on the Hollywood Rebellion Twitch stream. But I don't play guitar every day. Sometimes I'm programming drums or vocals or piano or whatever. So that was when we were touring heavy. And that song never got recorded ever, anywhere. I don't think there's even a demo anywhere, really. But it's a good song. So I'll probably record it when I start re-recording the Puppies stuff on live stream on the Twitch channel. I'll start doing that. Yeah, but that's where that song came from. So no, it ain't a cover. It's just an old song.
It's just a song that hasn't quite been released yet. And so speaking of your Twitch channel, if you're tuning into this as a podcast, Shim's new computer has come in.
Yes.
Shim's new computer is functioning.
Thank you to the Rebellion.
We're still working on my laptop issues. It's because mine comes from the company, and it's iffy right now. Basically, obviously, the company doesn't want to spend $3,000, $4,000 on a new laptop if we can salvage the one that I'm working on, if there's only like a small issue. So we're doing everything we can. Unfortunately, for my company, it's looking most likely it's a hardware issue where things are crapping out on it, and we're going to need to get a new one. But anyway, that's kind of beside the point there. But speaking of Twitch, we are going to start live streaming Rockstar 101 on Twitch, because the whole point was your previous computer, it just didn't have the gusto to really get it going there. It didn't have the juice to be able to live stream and record and do all the things that we needed it to do.
Yeah. And so we will now we're ready. And I've got some dope overlays, like these overlays and graphic things, because it's a $2,000 computer now. Like, it's got a heavy duty graphics card. It's a video gaming sort of computer. If you were a professional gamer, you would get like a next level one up. But for everything that I want to do, this is like great. This can handle recording the broadcast, streaming it at the same time, having animated overlays, good to go. So we'll have some, I'm not sure if we want to do animated overlays for our podcast, but we'll have some sort of a cool looking overlay that'll just be like, it'll make it look more than just like two boxes with us with fucking heads talking.
But all we need's two talking boxes, man. That's it. Which is just a couple of heads. Speaking of, I'm glad that you said that too, because that's a question that I get a lot, and it's also a question that I ask frequently. Something that I was looking into when I assumed I was going to have to get a new laptop is what's the best laptop for audio editing? Because obviously, if you're able to have an at-home studio and have the desktop, that's a more ideal situation because it's going to be more powerful and you're able to put more in there, and it's better. But if you need to be mobile, what's going to be the best laptop? Man, and I spent hours researching this stuff. Yeah. Hours. And, I looked into Dell, I looked into HP, I looked into all different kinds, and there's a few that kept popping up. Razer was a popular brand. Yeah, I think
I got
Asus.
A Razer. I got Asus. one of those two. Yeah.
Yeah, Asus or Asus. I still haven't figured out what's the correct way to say it because I've heard both ways. But either of those, and they have gaming laptops, and those keep popping up on people's lists of this is what you want if you want to record audio, if you want to edit audio and create music and things like that. And one of the reasons why is because all of the guts and all of the internal stuff can be swapped out if need be. The problem that I run into is I have a Surface Pro. You're locked into what you have. You can't just unscrew the back and then add more RAM or swap something out or change it. Yeah. You're very limited on what you have. Whereas a lot of these gaming laptops, they're designed to be able to build off of.
Exactly.
And that was one of the really cool things. And we're going to get really nerdy here when it comes to the audio editing stuff. As I looked into the Dell laptop, latency was an issue. And if you aren't sure what latency is, it's basically if you're trying to record into Pro Tools or Adobe Audition or whatever your editing software is, and you're speaking, but you're hearing your voice like a half a second later, that's latency. And it's a bitch. It is such a pain. Oh my God, it's the worst. There's other ways around it. We won't go down that path quite that far, but it being Rockstar 101, I'm assuming some people might be curious if I want to start a podcast or if they want to even just record, if they have a keyboard, they just want to be goofy and
it's funny
do
actually
some stuff like
you
that.
mention it because one of my biggest supporters, Stanky Pete, shout out to Stanky Pete in the Hollywood Rebellion, he hit me up just yesterday on the Discord and he was like, hey man, this is a link to a basic recording rig that I found on Guitar Center. Can you tell me if this is a good deal or not? And it was a decent deal. It had like an iMac and a microphone, the interface, basic little MIDI controller. It was a couple of grand for a solid computer and all the outboard stuff that you'd basically need to get started making beats and making music. And I hit him back and I said, all right, well, what are you planning to do? How deep do you want to get into it? Because you will need to upgrade as you build, right? So if you get an iMac and it's just one basic thing, the moment that you want to start, I don't know, layering in extra guitars or setting up second microphones for an amp or, God forbid, a drum setup, you want to put mics on a drum setup, which I know he's not going to get into, but anything more than what you're planning to do, you're going to want to upgrade. With PCs, it's basically limitless. You can juice up a PC nearly as much as you want, and then you can start running two PCs at once. And like gamers are fucking insane when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
Because they're working with video and audio in real time at high res, and they're broadcasting it. So their shit needs to be just top shelf. When you're doing video editing, it's the difference between, here's the thing. If you're doing a video edit, right? Like my dad, Guff Nazem, for example, right? He's on Twitch now. My dad started streaming as well. I got to tell you about that.
Yeah.
So
hold on, let me make a note so I can make sure we come back around to that.
So it's Guffnasm, Guff Nazem, on Twitch. So go and check him out and follow him. He does video editing right now. His stream, a lot of his stream is editing my social media videos for content, right?
Okay.
And going back to latency, you'll be cutting a video and you'll have the computer. It's got a whole bunch of video clips that it's taking from all over your hard drive and putting them into one timeline and playing them back, then the audio, then the sound effects. So when you go back and you push play, sometimes the computer will go, you go play and the computer starts playing. There's just a beat, right? And that's fine. Yep. That's fine if you're doing video editing because you're like, yeah, the computer needs a second to just get it all lined up and start playing. You can't do that when you're doing live video gaming. You can't do that when you're live streaming. You can't have these stops and pauses. Your computer has to literally go.
You got to have it right there.
It's got to be ready to roll. But the difference between that little beat and instant play, what the fuck was that? Sorry, did you hear that? You didn't hear that? Okay, cool. That was something else. Dismiss.
Is it aliens?
It's the new computer. It's my new computer sending me messages and stuff. That makes a big difference. That's a couple $1,000s worth of upgrades and memory and access and all that sort of stuff. So, dude, it's so weird. Your screen it keeps changing. The light keeps changing when you go to Reddit or anything on your laptop. It dramatically changes. Yeah, like sometimes you're orange and warm, and sometimes you're like cold and pasty, like you're sick.
I'm always cold and pasty.
But your tooth's in. Gia.
It is. My tooth is in.
Gia.
I still haven't gotten the permanent one, though. That's something that we're still waiting on over here. I mean, I can pop it out and be a redneck if y'all like. We can talk about computers. I love myself a computer. I love the email box.
The email box. You got that. You got it down, brother. So you know Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park, right?
I am familiar with him.
So he's got a Twitch stream. Did you know that? We talked about this, didn't we? He's got a Twitch stream.
I don't know if we talked about his specifically.
He has a Twitch stream that is basically doing the same type of thing that I am, only he's Mike Shinoda instead of me. He's a little bit up there, kind of good at what he does. You know, he's not bad. He's all right.
He's a pretty popular dude.
Yeah, a couple of people like him. Heard his name around the block. So he's crushing it on
Twitch.
Twitch.
Thick accent. Is that still an Australian accent?
That was Australian. That was deep Australian, mate. Deep fucking. That's Tasmania, mate. Tasmanian accent down there, mate. Mike Shinoda. Mike Shinoda.
It sounds like Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, fuck off. So here's the thing. Alien, one of my top supporters on the Twitch stream in the Rebellion, Alien.
Yeah.
He is able to redeem a raid, right? So for anyone that doesn't know, a raid is when, for example, when Brandon and I are doing Rockstar 101 live on the Twitch stream, at the end of the stream, we will take the however many people that are watching our show in the chat room, whether it's one person or 1,000 people, and you can type in a command that says, send my audience to another person's stream. So, for example, I could raid Mike Shinoda's stream, and suddenly Mike Shinoda's streaming, and he'll get a pop-up that goes, hey, the Hollywood Rebellion's raiding you with 100 people. And he'll go, hey, thanks, Hollywood Rebellion, blah, blah, blah. It's mostly just a community vibe thing, and it's great for networking. So, for example, if I wanted Mike Shinoda to know the Hollywood Rebellion, I'd raid him a few times, and he'd go, "Oh, you're raiding me again? Oh, cool. We got another raid from the Hollywood Rebellion. Yeah, let's check him out now." You know, like it's kind of like it's like the modern day networking thing. But normally, what happens is most Twitch streamers, they'll just sort of like they'll pick someone they like or pick someone that needs a boost or whatever. Mike Shinoda's actually got a thing where you can redeem points that you get in his stream, and you can choose the person that he's going to raid. So one of my supporters has been watching his stream and redeeming these points, and they cashed in a raid. So this morning, I woke up at 5 a.m, which I don't like doing,
Yeah.
Because his stream finishes at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 6 a.m. for me, right?
Okay.
And I was like, I've got a whole thing prepped. I mean, I'm fucking prepped. I'm like, he's going to send between 1 and 2,000 people to my stream when he raids it, and I can time it. Normally what happens is we'll be in the middle of this, and
then all of a sudden
suddenly you get a raid, and you're like, and what people normally do is they have these things called, they'll have a raid song. So like Just Joe from Syracuse, by the way, anyone watching, go and check out Just Joe Syracuse. He's a good friend and an amazing artist. So he does piano covers, right, and originals, but that's his thing. He just plays piano and sings songs and takes requests and talks to the audience. I do a bunch of different things. He does one thing pretty much at the moment, and he's got his shit locked down. So he's going to be playing piano when someone raids him. So when he gets the raid, he just stops what he's playing and goes into a raid song. He just has a song planned. He has a song planned, and he's like, it's like a 12-bar blues thing, and he's like, hey, we're going on a raid. Thank you for the raid, Hollywood Rebellion. I don't know, go and check out his stream. Da-da-da-da-da. And he starts fucking just riffing off whatever the chat room says. So everyone there goes, this guy's cool. He's interactive. He's fun. He's fucking, sounds good. So, but what happens is you can't normally plan it. You can't normally go at 6 o'clock, I'm going to be raided by a certain person. With Shinoda, you can. So I was like, cool. So I've got a whole plan of like, I'm going to play the song that I've covered of Linkin Park, which no one has heard, which I've never actually publicly broadcast. I'm going to play it for the first time when he raids my stream. And be like, hey, here's a song that everyone knows and loves. Here's my version of it. It sounds pretty good. I put a bit of work into it. This is what the stream sounds like. And they'll all hopefully go, cool, we like the song. Now we like you. What else you got? And then I'll go, cool.
Oh, God, you better hope they don't hate it.
Nah, they'll like it. So they will. And then I'm going to go into a lockdown session. I've got a song prepped, and it'll just be like, yo, here's the chorus. It's a fight song. Tell me all the shit you want to do to beat up your fucking boss that fucks with you at work. Let it out here. Let's go. And get all the people to just be like, fuck you, whatever. And then lock it in. Here's the thing. Got my ass up at 5 a.m. Drank a lot of coffee. Right? A lot of coffee. I mean,
this was this morning.
This was this morning. This was 4 hours ago now. 3.5 hours ago. So I'm fucking scatterbrained right now, bro. I'm scatterbrained. I didn't get any sleep in the first place. Yeah, I had a lot of coffee. And then this is what happened. I was like, cool. I got my shit together. 10 to 6, I went live. So I went live like 10 minutes before it was supposed to happen. Big mistake. I should have, but it took me that long to just get myself up and get prepped and go to the bathroom, make coffee and breakfast and all the bullshit and get ready. Because everyone's working at half speed from the moment that they wake up. So now I'm like, I'm live, I'm ready, the stuff's prepped, the song's ready to play, the other song's ready to go into a lockdown session. I'm like, I am not awake. I am not ready. I've tried, but I'm not awake. So I'm like, cool, there's going to be like 1,500 people showing up in a minute. I got to be ready to fucking dance. And then it turns out that Shinoda had, one of his mods had checked my stream 20 minutes before they were supposed to raid. And they were like, yeah, he's not live. Because I went live.
So they couldn't raid it.
They didn't know. They could have.
Because, they could have, but since they checked 20 minutes earlier when you weren't, they didn't.
Exactly. So I was there sitting, waiting, and Alien's in the chat, and he's like, wait, no. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? He's like, oh my God. I'm like, what? What happened? And then he's like, he raided someone else. They checked and you weren't live. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? So they would have checked right before I went live and been like, because he's checked. I'm in the queue. Right? So there's a queue of people, and if he goes and checks it and you're not live, he just moves to the next one. So I have to be on when he's ready to raid me so that I can steal his motherfucking audience. This is not like, oh, I want Mike to like me. Sure, it'd be nice if he likes me, but I want his fucking audience. I want those motherfuckers to look at me and go, oh, that's the guy from that other band that we listened to. Fuck, let's check his stuff out. That's it. That's all I need. But I got to get my ass up at 4:30 now, and 4:30 in the fucking morning. And drink my coffee and have my... Dude, shut the fuck up, all right? I mean, just... You take naps. You're right. I forgot who I was talking to. I was talking...
Actually, I haven't... you know what I haven't been doing recently? Taking naps at all. I have been
on the meditation
properly.
Because you're on the meditation trip.
I'm on the meditation. I'm on the actually going to bed at a decent time, and it's working. Of course, this week's been different. I've been on vacation this week. We actually traveled to Austin last weekend. for my wife's fellowships, and I basically sit in the hotel room and work on stuff. So we weren't really going out and doing a whole lot,
right?
If you say. But no, I mean, we drove to Austin, so we weren't, going anywhere near, plane flights or anything like that, which is one of the topics I did kind of want to bring up to you.
Yeah.
As we're watching, like last night, the family and I, we were kind of watching videos of what Disney World looks like right now. What's it like with the social distancing? What's it like with, and it's a weird vibe because the one thing that they don't want you doing when you're on one of the bigger rides, like a roller coaster, is they don't want you screaming, because when you're screaming, that's when you're like expelling the most germs out of your mouth. So the one thing I believe that they started over in one of the Asian Disneylands, I don't know if it was Hong Kong or whatever it was, but they're like, scream with your heart. So it's basically like you don't make noise while you're on the roller coaster. So it's significantly quieter. And there's only a person, like people in every other row. So there's a whole lot of things that they're doing. And for me, in my brain, immediately I'm like, dude, there's no lines. That's awesome.
Right.
Like you could go knock everything out. Yeah. Granted, there's no shows, there's no fireworks displays or anything like that. But if you really want to go knock out rides, now is the time. But you got to be wearing a mask. One of the things that Disney even came out and said was there's no eating or drinking as you're walking around the park, because one of the issues was people would bring their mask down to like get a sip, and the cast members were coming over and they were right on top of it.
Just what's the point at that point? At that point, seriously, you can't open your mouth and scream when you're having a good time in the rides. You have to sing with your heart. And then you can't eat in public, and there's no shows and there's no fireworks. I mean, that's not Disneyland. I'm sorry, that's not Disneyland.
Well, see, and that's the thing. And that's what my wife was saying, is that she's kept making the comment. She's like, it's really eerie because and there's these announcements that pop up every.
It feels, you know what,
10 minutes.
Disneyland now feels like what every employee feels like that works in Disney.
Yeah, how strict it is.
Yeah, and how fucking dead it is, dead inside.
There's this announcement where it comes on. It's like, please remember to wear your masks. Also, keep social distancing at least 6 feet from other people, and wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. Thank you. It's like that, and it comes up like every 5 or 10 minutes. But it's like 1984.
So did you go? Did you go?
V for Vendetta. What, to Disney World?
Yeah. No, but so you just watch the video and you watch that. And
yeah,
we're just watching
we're just watching these YouTube videos on these people who are there, who they probably live there. Now, if I lived there, I would maybe go check it out and just go pop in. But I'm not going to get a plane flight and a hotel and fly over for that. No. But at what point for you would you be comfortable doing something like that? Like taking an actual trip somewhere? Because we've been talking about it. I don't think we're anywhere close to being ready.
You mean in America, or you as a family?
Yeah, just us as a family.
Well, here's you guys look. If we're being real, you guys are fucked. Like the country's fucked, and you can't go to any other country.
It's because somehow masks became a political issue rather than people just shutting up and doing it. Yeah. It became politics.
Yeah. Well, everything's becoming politics now in your country. But no, you can't leave.
It's an election year.
You can't leave. Why do you think they're doing it? This is not a mistake. Don't get me on the fucking conspiracy theory train on this shit. Like, there's no mistake that during the election year of the worst president in your country's history, they're pulling shit like this during the pandemic. And then in 10 years, they'll come through and be like, oh, turns out the pandemic came from over here, actually. It's going to be a whole fucking thing. Thing. So, anyway. I've got to tell you about something cool that actually happened. Okay, I don't know if we shouldn't talk about politics. Darl and Don tell me not to talk about politics. But there's an interesting thing came up with China in terms of Australian politics, and I'll be interested in your opinion on America's take on this, as an American versus an Australian. We'll talk about this in a second.
Absolutely.
I would be willing. I don't want to go anywhere at the end of this year. I know that holidays are in Christmas time. It's especially in Australia. It's summertime. And they're already doing massive, massive campaigns. There is a spike happening right now back in Sydney, and Melbourne. They locked down Victoria again, and Sydney's coming back up. I went to the gym yesterday with my mask on, and was like crazy anal about wiping everything down and all that good stuff, and. I went knowing that, all right, we're putting the kids back in school next week, and I'm going to the gym because I have to, because I got a problem with my back, and if I don't go, it's just I can't function. Otherwise, I don't go to the gym for the. If I was going for vanity, I'd be like, I'm not going. But if I don't go and do these exercises, I'm in pain, so I have to do these.
You'd be like Carl Fredricksen from the movie Up with your little walker.
Yeah,
with the tennis
pretty
balls
much.
on
Yeah,
the bottom of it.
I don't want to fucking wind up like that guy. So, I think that they're already doing these ad campaigns saying, "Time to travel." Literally, time to travel. Here's, you've been cooped up for too long. When the time comes for to get away, why don't you get away to the north coast of Cairns? Go and check out the Great Barrier Reef. The weather's going to be beautiful. He's like, plan ahead, plan ahead. All these fucking ads that are doing that stuff, right? Plan ahead and take advantage of the holiday prices.
Right now.
No, you can't plan ahead. Australia sort of could, but we're coming back to, well, there's a little spike happening. And it's starting to it's cycling around, and it's only going to get bigger before it gets smaller. So they might lock it down again just to be. And if they do lock it down, they'll lock it down twice as hard. They'll be like, look, you guys already prepped for this at the first half of the year. Everyone got Zoom. Everyone got their fucking webcams. Work from home. Figure it out. Which is great for me. So great for people.
So for
like me.
Is your kid actually going to school?
She's starting.
Like, are they going to be in classrooms?
Yeah, kindergarten, preschool, not kindergarten. She's going to be she's in preschool. So she's starting preschool.
That's been one of the big debates here is, are they going to put kids in classrooms, or are they going to continue with the online schooling at this point? Because originally what they were going to do, and this was like a month ago when they were making this plan, was they were going to set it up so you could either choose all online or you could choose online and in classroom.
Right.
The online stuff would be 3 days a week. The in-class stuff would be 2 days a week. And it would be social distancing. And they were trying to ease into that. But the problem was they can't do that because our numbers have just continued to just skyrocket.
You've got like 75,000 cases a day or something.
Especially in the city of El Paso. Every single day, it's like, oh, we have a new record of confirmed cases. There's a new record of deaths. Like, it's to the point now we're getting almost 15 deaths a day. It feels like. I don't know if that's the actual stat, but it feels like that's what we're getting. And so now they've kind of eased back, and they're like, I think we're going to need to do online schooling and readdress this later. And that's I think that's obviously it's the best thing to do, but I think that's what they're going to do. I think October 1st might be when they're going to readdress it.
I think it's going to be interesting as we look back on this year, because it's going to be looked at as the lost year. It will be the forgotten year, the lost year, the year when it's like no one accomplished anything, no one went to school, no one, like, people didn't go to work, they lost their jobs or whatever it was. It's going to be the year of loss, and the year that we lost, where, like, if you were planning to do anything and move forward in your life, start a new course, move to a new place, do something, it's like your plans were canceled.
Well, I think it depends on your outlook on it. Because
I agree.
If people have sat at home and they lost their job and they're not doing anything, then this is the year that was lost. If you're taking advantage of being home and having some extra time and doing some other things, there could be a major positive spin on this that you should be able to look at. I'm learning things constantly on a daily basis. I'm continuing to learn how to, write programming codes in Java and all this other stuff. And it's the stuff that I've gotten into, and it's the stuff that I enjoy doing. And with some of the extra time now, it's helped, and I thoroughly enjoy it. But then again, I've been practicing to be a hermit for 40 years. So.
I wouldn't be doing the live streaming that I'm doing now if it wasn't for lockdown. I did my first live stream the first week of pandemic lockdown. And then I was like, and then when I suddenly cracked the code of, I can record my music live on stream, and write music with fans, it was like the switch went off, and I was like, this is my edge. This is an edge on what everyone else is doing. So then I was like, game on. And so, and it's ironic that I started live streaming 3-4 months ago, and it took me this long to get a new computer because of the pandemic. Like, it took this long to order it and get it to arrive. Get the money and get the whole thing together. So we're at 29 minutes. Did we have a thing to wrap up with?
Well, I'm going to give the socials and everything, and then we also got a message from one of our supporters.
Bring
If
it.
you would like to support us, you can do that. Head on over to the Anchor page. It's anchor.fm/Rockstar101. We have two supporters. There's Taryn Weiniger, I'm guessing is the name. Again, if I'm butchering your name, I apologize. Correct me, because the other supporter shot me a message to let me know how to pronounce her name. She says, "Hi, Brandon. Just caught up on Rockstar 101 and wanted to say thank you for the supporter shout out. It's Victoria Kellerman,
Vic. Yeah, it's Vic.
better known to Shim as
Nightmare
Rabbit,
Yeah, yeah.
or Vic."
Yeah.
And she says she loves what we're doing. She hit me up over on Instagram. And so thank you very much, Vic, for supporting us.
Yeah. She's one of the best. I think she lives in El Paso. So she's been a fan of mine for a million years, and we've met each other a bunch of times. But she's in the stream regularly. She's on the Patreon. She supports everything that we're doing. So it's awesome. So thanks. Shout out to Vic.
We definitely appreciate it, Vic. And for the socials, if you want to hit me up, Instagram and on Reddit, the handle is The Real Brandalorian. You are more than welcome to drop me a message if you have any questions, topics, or anything that you want brought up. Even that one guy on Reddit asked about that one song, and we found out all about this unreleased Sick Puppies song called Pretend that Shim talked about.
Now I'll be re-recording.
Absolutely. And if you want to hit up Shim, you can find him over on Twitter. It is at Shimmoore, SHIMMOORE. Or you can find him over on his Facebook page, and as always on Twitch as well, which is the Hollywood Rebellion. And that's where you can find a lot of his.
So that's twitch.tv/The Hollywood Rebellion. We've got to put a "the" in front of it.
So go find him over there and support him over there. And soon we will be broadcasting Rockstar 101. And it would probably be under the Hollywood Rebellion Twitch stream, right? Like, we're not going to create a new one. We'll just broadcast Rockstar 101 on that same page.
What we'll probably do is we'll do the Rockstar 101 live stream on mine, and then if you get yours together, I'll raid you at the end of it, and you can have something prepped for afterwards.
There we go.
And then we can start boosting you up. We can get you on your way.
Let's do this.
Yes.
Sounds like a plan. On that note, one more time, at The Real Brandalorian. That's where you can find me on Instagram or on Reddit. Shim, and it's at Shim Moore over on Twitter as well. If you guys ever have a question, comment, anything, topic, fire away. Let us know. His name is Shim. He is the Rockstar.
His name is Brandon. He's the DJ.
Class dismissed.